event at Austin Community College in Austin, Texas. And on behalf of the Innovate Bio Leadership Team, thank you for joining us today. As a reminder, a full listing of our webinars or future events can be found on the Innovate Bio website, and we will put that in the chat. Please join me in welcoming Jared DeCoste and Dan Beaupré of Prism Immersion for an introduction to BioSuite Virtual. And also, Dan and Jared will be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions or comments for them, please feel free to use that. And if it is not answered during the webinar, then it will be addressed shortly after. And their contact information will also be placed in the chat. So thank you again. Dan and Jared, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Just give me a half second here to share. And I think it's up now. Can you guys see it? Good. Yep. All right. Awesome. Yeah, thanks everyone from the Innovate Bio team for hosting us. We're really excited to have this forum to tell you about BioSuite Virtual. For those of you who may know something about it, like great, we're happy to tell you a lot more about it and kind of where we are today and kind of like the opportunity. For those of you who know nothing about BioSuite Virtual, even more excited to meet you guys and give you that opportunity to learn. So, I'm Jared DeCoste and Dan Beaupré, and we're going to kind of just take it right off. And then during the presentation, we'll have an opportunity to kind of tell you the story of kind of where it all came from and all of those things. But we just kind of want to like start right off and get into the crux of this with, there are some major barriers to effective training, especially at the community college level, the workforce development level, even R1 university levels, that I'm sure all of you have run into in one way or another, including things like lab space and lab time, having not good ratios of equipment to students, having to maintain equipment and go through consumables, maintaining expertise and the time and it kind of takes for preparation and all of that of the faculty members, being safe with the students and remaining compliant, and then also just consistency of training from one institution to the next. And we've recognized those, between Dan, myself, our team, lots of folks that we talk to, all these things keep coming up over and over again. And they came up years ago when we started down this BioSuite virtual journey. What I want to start with real quick is kind of telling you guys about the virtues of different computer type digital solutions. Part of the reason why I want to do this is just kind of making sure that we're on the same page of the language and what we're talking about today. I'm sure everyone at some level has done something along the lines of a computer simulation. Worked through a computer program where either you're in the lab or it's doing some sort of virtual teaching or things along those lines. Um, Lots of times you're just interacting on a two-dimensional screen and using a mouse and a keyboard to kind of just get around, and really you're just observing what's happening. It's kind of like a textbook in motion. Um, then you've probably also heard about augmented reality. Some of you might have done this before. There are lots of different versions of it. From ordering something on Amazon and being able to place it in a picture of your room and understanding what that couch or that table might look like, all the way up to wearing different types of glasses like the HoloLens, where you can overlay like instructions on, let's say, a pipette in the lab or something along those lines. That's kind of like level two. Level three is what we're going to be talking about today, and it's a build on those two, and that's the overlay of virtual and mixed reality. Um, we at BioSuite Virtual or at Prism Immersive use mixed reality within BioSuite Virtual, but the two are inherently highly linked together. So When utilizing virtual and mixed reality, your hands are tracked and you actually do real motions in a fully immersive 3D environment. You can utilize a headset. So we utilize the Quest 3 headset that you put on. You have two controllers that track where your hands are and they track those motions. And you get to go through an actual immersive space. And what this opens up to us is a real opportunity to have students go through practical, realistic workflows in a way that is really hard to realize in other digital media, but is also addresses a lot of those upfront problems that we were talking about, like lab space, lab time, scalability, and things along those lines. So I'm going to move in, and we're going to kind of go right into the crux of a short video, so you can see right away what virtual or mixed reality. We use mixed reality is. And I just realized I forgot to distinguish between the two. Virtual reality is a fully immersive environment, 360 degrees around you, where you cannot see your space, but you're kind of dropped into a very immersed space. Mixed reality is a gentler way of kind of doing this. And when you're utilizing mixed reality, you can still see your room and your surroundings. So if I'm in a classroom, I can still see the actual classroom itself, but we overlay a large area of that with our virtual lab. And we basically bring the lab into that real environment. So I'm going to move right into a quick video here. Whoop. All I need to see it once. So I want to quickly go into our team and kind of like where we come from, how we've developed all of this. So we didn't give kind of the intros up front. My name's Jared DeCoste, as I said before. I have a PhD in chemistry. I spent about 15 years as a researcher for the U.S. Army working on the Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland. I got really highly involved in biomanufacturing, biotech, around the 2016, 2017 timeframe, specifically looking into synthetic biology for making new materials, and a lot of the things that Biomade does, for those of you who aren't familiar with. Um, when doing a lot of that, I was really interested in the workforce problem because I was really seeing this within our facilities. How to train folks to be really involved in the bioeconomy, how to get folks at the technician level involved, and really how are we going to jump forward in the next 5 to 10 years as we see there be a much bigger need in this biomanufacturing economy. And I wasn't seeing really practical solutions. Along with the business partners, Dan and Tom, which I'm going to let Dan introduce himself and Tom, we had really come up with this idea of how to utilize virtual reality at the time and mixed reality now to be a more scalable, elegant and really strong solution in training. But with that, I'm going to kick it over to Dan here for the next few minutes and let him kind of take over from there.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Beaupré. It's great to be with you. It's great to have a bunch on, and I know that we're all bracing, if not experiencing this storm. Kudos to everybody for making the time. We're really excited to be talking about BioSuite Virtual with you. I came to immersive technology from my career at National Geographic. I was there for 20 years, and at the very end of that period, I was introduced to virtual reality. I led a team of educational programmers and developers, and we worked in a lot of media, including print media, web media, apps, games, competitions, live events. I have deep experience in all those in STEM-related programming. Immersive virtual reality really caught my attention for its power to expand or contract space and time, its power to bring incredible scientific visualizations to people. If it's well designed, and you're going to hear a lot today about our design. Like we don't just create VR or mixed reality. We design learning experiences, and we give a lot of attention and intention to how we go about that, how we want to impart skills, core content, how we know that we're successful through assessment. We're going to be sharing some of that with you. So we're a small team. I'm Chief Operating Officer. The third leg is Tom. He's not with us today. He's our creative lead, Tom Schmidt. So he creates a lot of our graphics and kind of gives a lot of our creative direction to the company. And then the next slide will show that we have really a whole web of support here. We are Biomade funded. Biomade, as you all know, probably is one of the manufacturing institutes. We're in month 23 of our 24-month subaward. Really grateful for that support. And that's what really has made BioSuite Virtual possible. The financial support, but also what you're looking at is what we refer to as our ecosystem. And this is a broad and rather large group of R1 universities, community colleges, industry, government labs, all of whom have been involved in the creation of BioSuite Virtual. And we really underscore that. We really emphasize that it's part of our intent design from day one. There's no way that even a couple super well-informed people can create what it is we wanted to create. We knew we needed to lean into expertise from all aspects of biomanufacturing, from laboratory bioengineers, educators, people steeped in pedagogy, people steeped in media creation.
We need that.
And really, that's what has made this this whole product possible. Additionally, we have, actually one more note on that is each of these sites has tested BioSuite Virtual in its creation over the last 23 months. So nothing that we go public with hasn't been vetted many times over by our ecosystem. We also have a core group of advisors, some of who have joined us today. And these are really top of the field people from R1, from community college, from workforce development experts, credentialing experts, lab and both in industry and government lab representatives, CMOs, really a core group of people that we're really grateful for their insights as we need them, as we bring BioSuite Virtual into being.
So I'm going to take over here for a second. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the content and what it is, right? We talked a bit about the media and what virtual reality is and mixed reality and shown it to you. But obviously one of the main questions is, what are the opportunities for my students to learn? And we do everything in the context of a end-to-end fermentation run and hold the narrative throughout. So as opposed to having individual standalone modules, there are 40 different modules, but they run consecutively from starting in a bioreactor assembly room and needing to assemble, learn about all the parts and assembling all those parts into a working bioreactor, going through sterilizing that bioreactor, prepping all of the media, the chemicals that need to go into it, doing sterile filtration. But what's really important in all of this is not just the narrative and learning how to do fermentation. Along the way, the students learn about a variety of different techniques and concepts, and we weave all of those concepts into this full-on narrative. Whenever there's an opportunity to take a moment to teach the students more, not just do, but actually teach them why they're doing it, we make sure to take that time to make sure that they have the conceptual understanding. And we're going to see this here in a video coming up here in a minute. One of my favorite things about BioSuite Virtual and the medium of mixed or virtual reality is that we can have students actually do the activity, then at the same time learn about that activity through animations. This is akin to being able to go into a lab and do the lab activity, but at the same time learn the concepts that you'd be learning from the lecture. There's not another medium that really allows you to effectively do this. And it really helps with retention of knowledge because students aren't just doing, they're learning why they're doing at the same exact moment. And they have no choice but to learn about that. It's all kind of coming at them in that kind of contextualized, um, really, medium. And I was kind of going through the topics a little bit, but not only do we go through sterilization, we then get into the run itself. So we go through running the seed train, all the way from, starting in from uh, a stock a stock solution all the way down all the way through running the full on bioreactor run itself. We also hit a little bit on downstream processing and analysis and all of that along the way. So I'm going to move right into one more video, and you're going to hear from one of our AI talents. So we utilize AI talents within BioSuite Virtual to actually add some warmth to the experience itself, so that the students actually feel like they have the actual support that they need.
In BioSuite Virtual, every detail of the learning experience is designed to give you confidence, clarity, and support from the very first step. Your entire learning journey is guided by a team of AI trainers, just like me. You'll hear our voices giving clear step-by-step guidance as you move through the lab.
Nice work. Now pick up the impeller shaft and insert it into the center of the head plate.
Every action we describe is also reinforced with written directions displayed on the wall monitor in front of you. To make things even clearer, you'll see three-dimensional animations showing you exactly how to perform each task. Additionally, green highlights on the bench indicate where objects should be placed. And when you need additional support, arrows will appear to guide your movement and actions. The power of mixed reality allows us to seamlessly weave scientific learning into these practical steps through the use of detailed animations, bringing concepts to life right as you perform them. Along the way, you'll complete knowledge checks to reinforce your learning. And upon completion, you'll have the opportunity to earn a fermentation credential through the BioSciences Core Skills Institute. These features create a powerful, layered learning design that ensures you'll always know what to do, when to do it, and why it matters. We are here to support you in every step of the way on your BioSuite Virtual journey.
I'm
In
gonna
BioSuite,
Sorry.
lead into some of what we just saw a little bit here, because that is an overview of our learning design, and it's based on some strong tenets and some assumptions. We feel strongly that we don't assume much prior knowledge going into BioSuite Virtual. Really, it's based on high school chemistry and high school biology. So it's very easy access. We don't use a lot of terminology that's not defined within very clearly. We even go as far as saying that like a far younger person could probably be successful in learning this. We want to take the mystery out of learning basic bioprocessing workflows. So a lot of our language choice, the intensity of our content, how we check for knowledge is based on essentially a high school biology or biology and chemistry background. It's pretty low entry. At the end of this, we're going to talk about our model, our licensing model, but you could do this anytime, anywhere. Jared mentioned our headset technology. We use Quest 3s. They look like this. They're pretty inexpensive. We can talk about that too. They have hand controls that allow you to manipulate within the experience. You saw the green prompts in that video. Everything is guided. When you're in BioSuite Virtual, you are on a linear learning process over 11 chapters. Everything is guided. You essentially can't fail. Along the way, at the end of each chapter, we have these knowledge checks. We call them gated reviews. They check your understanding of what you just learned in that chapter. It's gamified, it's pretty fun. If you score high enough, you proceed to the next chapter. If you don't, you go back and do the chapter before. We also have assets within for tutorials. You can call up any of our animations. You can retake anything. You can retake knowledge checks. We're going to be continuing to add more and more knowledge checks too. So it's really all based on the idea that anybody can learn this. How fast it takes is not a criterion to us anyway. It may within an academic environment, and that would be an instructor's choice. But this is all about mastering core bioprocessing skills in content. We like to emphasize that we marry the conceptual and the technical. So this is not a straight up technical procedure where you're just kind of maneuvering and manipulating things. You're learning the why behind that. The animations, I forget how many animations we have in this now, it's dozens, lean heavily into the conceptual. So you'll understand what pH is, you'll understand dissolved oxygen, you'll understand condensation at a more conceptual level. And we do that through strong visualizations within the experience. So those are some of, not all, unfortunately, there's more to our learning design, but to be brief, or at least to be not lengthy here, those are our essential learning design elements. As Jared mentioned, you can earn a skill, a credential at the end of this. So at the end of the 11 chapters, you've taken 11 knowledge checks. If you feel confident, you can actually go into a part of the virtual experience where you can take an assessment, and that assessment measures your whole span of BioSuite Virtual, which is fairly significant. We're talking about around 8 hours of content by this time. And that assessment is challenging. It's more challenging than the knowledge checks that come along the way. Not only are you asked to recall your skills and your knowledge, but you're also synthesizing and applying that knowledge to novel situations to test how well you know it. Move up to the next slide. So this is where we are now and where we're headed. Right now, we're excited to say that we have our first users out there. That's one of your questions, Linnea, and we'll get to your other questions too, Linnea, at the end. But as we speak, this is being used. We call it BioSuite Virtual 1.0. We're going to be doing a lot more. We're still testing it in classrooms as well. We have all of our knowledge checks in place. We are completing our assessment right now, our credentialing assessment. We're adding things like user login and LMS integration. We know that a lot of community colleges use Canvas, for example, so we're going to have a smooth integration into Canvas, and that credential will be granted as well. And as we look to the future, we're really excited about adding, this is focusing on bench scale, as you see in all of our images and descriptions. We're really excited about adding pilot scale bioreactor training, moving into DSP as well as GMP and compliance, and even tech transfer too as we look ahead.
All right, so I'll address the question that everyone has in the room, which is price. It's always the first question that we get, and for a while, Dan and I danced around it because we were trying to figure out what are the best models for classrooms and things along those lines. Dan and I are, I'm a scientist, Dan's an educator, Tom's a creative. We're not salespeople. That's not where we come from, right? But we understand that there has to be a sustainability piece to this, not just for folks being able to pay, but also for us to be able to update BioSuite Virtual, keep it coming out with new modules that are incredibly relevant and that are engaging. And we still want to make it incredibly affordable for institutions and for students. And we really wanted to revolve it around the prices of textbooks. Yes, an expensive textbook, but at the same time, something that is more palatable. We can sell single licenses. Those, we wanted to make that around $300. But we obviously understand that institutions themselves have more students, and as we scale out and have more students adopt this, our price to implement obviously comes down. And we're obviously more than willing to share this. You can find this on our LinkedIn site. You can, I think we're going to share these slides with Cassandra, and they'll be on the Innovate Bio website. But basically, it's between $200 and $300, depending on the number of students, with a $495 implementation fee at the institution. And what this includes is us integrating into your LMS system, us bringing your faculty members up to speed through Zoom webinars and actually training them so that they can institute this. And having an administrator's account as well. So this is going to allow the faculty members to be able to go through and do all of the content either along with the students, before the students, and all of those things as well. On top of that, there is obviously the hardware consideration. One of the things that we knew when we started out with BioSuite Virtual is we had to make sure that we were working with affordable headsets and hardware. And we built everything, like Dan was saying, on the Quest 3, which is a consumer grade virtual reality headset that retails for $300. Institutions can have any number of these. We recommend somewhere around a 4 to 6 to 1 student to headset ratio. And either doing this during class or outside of class, depending on kind of the needs of your school and of the students themselves. And we can talk to you individually about different implementation strategies that different partners of ours are using and how those are going and all of that. I will also tell you that Dan and I are still a lot in learning mode. So not only are we telling you what we think works best, we're learning from the institutions who are actually implementing this and being the practitioners. So, there's lots of opportunity to interact with us directly when utilizing the product, actually giving us feedback, us interacting with you. We try to pride ourselves in being incredibly responsive. But that also relates back to one of the other things that when we started out this, we wanted to make sure that everything we were doing was as user-friendly as possible. So we've utilized that as one of the backbones when building BioSuite Virtual, making sure that everything is as intuitive as possible, easy to use, because we understand that the hardware itself can be very intimidating to folks that have not worked within this medium before. We find that students pick it up incredibly fast. Most students have grown up on, they grow up with cell phones and tablets in hand and video games and things like that. It's very, very intuitive to them. To folks that did not grow up with that stuff, which includes most of the faculty members, it can be a little bit more intimidating, and we want to make sure that we're there to kind of guide you through all that. We've set up an administrator's guide, we've set up videos online, and on top of that, we are more than happy to be there and hold Zoom calls and walk you through it, walk your class through it. Depending on where you're located, come to you. All of those things are things that we are more than willing to do. Um, with that, I think we're going to kind of wrap it up and go to some of the questions. I think Dan was going to drop, and I think he just did drop all of this information into the chat so you guys can have it. Feel free to reach out to us, check out our LinkedIn. But with that, we want to make sure that we thank all the people who have been involved in this. Actually, not all of the people, but some of the people, because there have been so many. But like Dan mentioned, our primary funding has come from Biomade, with some additional funding from the NSF. Linnea, you guys in Innovate Bio have always been very, very supportive, even from before our development, and we thoroughly appreciate that and this opportunity today. And we didn't even talk about our specific real core partners, but Amyris, the BioSciences Core Skills Institute, Northeastern, and Hartford Community College have all been incredibly integral from day one of our development. When we started this, we went out to Amyris, Dan, myself, Tom, actually our programmers showed up, and we went out there for the better part of a week, sat there, did fermentation runs with them, actually did all of that. So I doubt there are very many people that could say that they've had coders out there doing fermentation runs out in the Bay Area. But that speaks a little bit to one of your questions, Linnea, about industry adoption, or industry, what industry thinks about it. We made sure when we started this that we brought industry in. It wasn't just Amyris. It was about a half dozen different companies that we consulted with, that we walked through them, different types of runs that they do, what are the things that people need and are taught, and how do we really convey that. And we had folks from industry testing BioSuite Virtual along the way to make sure that the feel and the touch and what they were getting mimics to the best ability possible what they see within their workflows and the work environments. Dan and I are very excited actually this year to work with some CDMOs and potentially work with some different organizations and get their feedback as well and integrate in new pieces as we're going. Like Dan said, in that kind of where we are now and where we're going in the future slide, we still have new topic areas that we want to highlight more broadly or more in depth. And those include working with industry to kind of really hone in on those types of things. But with that, I think Dan and I are more than willing to take any questions. I see there's some stuff in the chat already. Linnea, we do plan on going to high tech. Dan and I were just talking about that. We went last year and we had such great interactions with folks from the community, and that was I think one of my highlights of the summer for sure.
Great, because we're going to have a pre-conference session where we're going to bring in 28 individuals who we're doing kind of a mini summer fellows thing, and each table is going to be a place where they can work on things. So if you'd like one of the tables to work with people, I'll give it to you.
We would love that. Appreciate that offer. Let's follow up on that.
Okay.
Dan, I haven't been looking at these yet, so if there's anyone here that you want to address.
The question about other headsets, if it's compatible with other headsets, I didn't answer to that one. Other brand models of VR headsets.
Right. So the answer to that is no. Or
Not
not as of right now.
Yeah, I mean our software is written on Unity, which can be altered for other headsets, but that's not without a lift, and it's probably wiser and better to get Quest headsets cost wise, and they're not that expensive. Some clients, like one of our clients, just has 5 headsets, and they're sharing them with 15 students in kind of a lending library model, almost like a library checkout model, like at the college library. Another client has bought 15 headsets to have essentially a one-to-one match for student use. Depends on the context. A lot of people have questions about this, so I'll speak to it for another 30 seconds or so. Some organizations use this as a prerequisite to a biomanufacturing course. This is their first exposure, and it's a great level set. Everybody's on the same page. They all learn fluency, right? They all learn basic biomanufacturing vocabulary. They get some muscle memory with processing. They even learn some of the dozens of acronyms that we all know, right? Others use this as a parallel, almost like a lab to a course, and it's spread out across a whole college semester. And those are just two of many models that can determine what the hardware investment might be for you if you're thinking about this.
Let me move to C's question. So yeah, we are compiling student performance data. So right now we're working on integrating in all of this into, oh damn, why is the LMS system escaping me? The name.
Canvas?
Canvas, thank you. Into Canvas so that you can actually assign students individual chapters or modules to do over a given period of time, have a due date, see that they've completed them, see what their scores are on the knowledge checks, see how many times they've taken the knowledge checks because they can go back and redo them. We're not in the business of assessing grades, so that comes back to you guys, whether it's you want to see that they've done the knowledge checks and they just get something for participation, or whether you want to take those knowledge check scores and convert them into some sort of scoring method. However, when we get to the credentialing piece with BCSI, which I know we brought up, there is a scoring system, and the students have to score a certain score within that to obviously get the credential and to pass the exam. If they don't pass the exam, there will be a period of time that they have to wait until they can take the credential again or attempt it again. And that credentialing will be done within the virtual environment through a mix of practical and conceptual type of questions. So we want to make sure that the students, again, by the end of this, not only know the steps within the process, but really understand why they're doing those steps. And if there's deviations, how do they react to those? How do those things get in there? So, Dan, along with Angela from BCSI, are really working on the rigor of that and making sure that it's, perfect. Robin, your question about the Quest 2 specifically, it does not work on the Quest 2 headset, and the main reason why is because we utilize mixed reality instead of virtual reality, and the Quest 2 was not developed for mixed reality, unfortunately.
One thing I'll
Logan,
note about,
yeah, go ahead.
just quickly, mixed reality versus virtual reality, depending on your experience, I'll share that most people are much more comfortable in mixed reality than virtual reality. The things we hear about virtual reality and people being nauseous or uncomfortable are usually in full virtual reality, and that's one of the reasons why we don't use it. In mixed reality, you're much more comfortable because you can actually see the room that you're in.
Not only can you see the room, you can also see yourself, and that's actually one of the really important things is you can see your feet. And there's lots of things within your brain that level set, especially your balance and things along those lines that we don't even think about, right? They're just involuntary. And mixed reality really helps that. So yeah, Logan, your question about additional modules using single-use bioreactors, that's something we really, really want to do because and we talk about this all the time. We've been trying to put in grant opportunities and pitch those. So if there's anyone who wants to, this is another call, right? Is if there's anyone who wants to partner with us and be like a tester and put in a grant along with us, whether that's to NSF, whether it's to Nimble, whether it's to Biomade, reach out to us. We're totally game for that, and that allows us to be able to program more types of modules in there. And if you're the folks who are working directly with us, you get a lot more input into what that exactly looks like. But that is definitely something we're in the game of.
Yeah, Linnea, your question, we haven't mentioned Blackboard, but we anticipate our developer is actually working on this right now, this integration with LMS, and we anticipate yes is the answer to that question, that it would integrate into Blackboard just as easily as it would
Wouldn't it be just taking your content and writing the modules up into Blackboard? Pretty much.
Oh, like reformatting it?
Well, just rewriting it into, it's not a big deal. Blackboard Ultra is pretty easy.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
I
think it's simple.
did
It's
a
even
course
simpler than
with
that. Like
Blackboard Ultra.
our back end stuff, it's even though it's made for Canvas, like it's it can transfer fairly easily, at least according to what we've been talking about with our programmers.
You
Uh,
could even get students to work on this for you, or our lab techs, or
As much as I love that, that's a
not,
very
it's not
dangerous
rocket
game,
science.
Linnea.
Huh?
It's a very dangerous game, but yes.
Well, I mean, it's just that because we use Blackboard Ultra is pretty nice, so it's pretty easy. I just redid my QA/QC course, so and it wasn't a big, so
Yeah. Like Dan and I we had some interns working with us last summer. They were fantastic. So like if there are people that are stellar individuals that are interested, like we're game, especially from the testing perspective, where we know we will always be updating and our customers that we're working with.
I'm just saying, remember, I also run a program and we use your stuff in biomanufacturing, and now we're maybe another course. And then I'm sure others who are on this call, I have interns, and not
Right.
all of them go off into industry, and yours would be an intern. So if you write up a little blurb looking for an intern, I'll gladly, we can put it up at Innovate Bio, and we can even put it up at our programs and get people to do this.
Fantastic. We appreciate that offer, Linnea. You're always so generous with the things you offer us. So
Well, I
awesome.
really want this because I see it the best thing that's out there. So of course I want this. I
Dan,
want
you
you.
recorded that, right? We're putting that up on our website.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, you know,
Um, Yeah,
okay.
folks outside of Linnea and because I know I did look down the list of people that are here. There are some folks here who do have our headsets and have the ability to see BioSuite Virtual at any time. But anyone who's not, part of our ecosystem has not seen it yet, has not met us at high tech, reach out to us. Like we definitely we will set up individual calls, but we're also willing to either find a headset nearby that you can go see BioSuite Virtual on, or
My
we have
lab
demo
tech is
headsets we
on
can
this
send out.
call. Evelyn Apple's on this call, so she's used it. You just
Yeah,
don't.
so yeah, there's
I'm the
definitely
one
a
who knows.
litany of names on here of people that I know have used it.
Emer
Um,
Emerita's on here, so I know a lot. Yeah, I think, and Ying Su's on here, so who's part of my leadership team. So there are a lot of people I think that would be really interested. And to me, this idea of doing it before you let them into the lab is brilliant. And probably we could even make that as part of the grant that you should be doing with ATE. And I'll gladly help you. I don't need to be on it. I'll gladly help you write it. You may use partners from our Innovate Bio network. And you should also then collect evidence about how utilizing these headsets before you let them into the lab decrease time to the lab.
We're so interested in that, Linnea, and yeah, we are so interested in that. And I mean, we're
I'm
super grateful.
sorry, Amarita. I know I targeted you.
No, I know, but and we're so grateful for your early support and belief in this. And you're reminding me of something that Jared O'Clair said once in a conference, and I'll never forget it. He said, a lot of what we're doing is building confidence. It's building confidence. Like this knowledge, these skills are not hard to attain, but a lot of young people just don't have the confidence yet. And this is another way that they can get that repeated exposure, right? Without somebody uncomfortably like behind them in a lab that they might be intimidated by, right? They could do this as many times as it takes to gain that essential mastery of skills, content, workflows, so that when they do enter a lab, they're in a totally different position than otherwise.
Yeah, I just have to remember I keep trying to put something down on the table that's not there.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah. Don't put your cell phone on the virtual table. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it twice now, and luckily it had nothing in it, it was just,
Yeah. It's one of those things. It can be, like we said, it can be intimidating at first, but 5 minutes inside a headset, you're sold on how immersive it is and how it feels real and all of those things. And to bring students who, again, as a pre-lab exercise, it makes lots of sense. For students who do virtual type learning or distance type learning, this may be the only thing that they end up getting during a class, right? And we've talked to folks who run different types of programs, including those that involve international students and all of those things. And these are the types of solution. This is a solution that we can bring to those students and that we're really excited to bring to all of those students. So, I'm sure you guys hear it from us, but Dan and I are incredibly passionate about this. So this is not just an opportunity for Dan and I to, you know, make money. This is an opportunity for us to give something to this community that we think it so sorely needs. And so it's just a real opportunity here. Um, and I think Dan mentioned it briefly, but we do have folks utilizing it in this spring semester, and we're so excited about that. And if you are interested in utilizing it in the summer or the fall or even this spring, if you're like, hey, we need to use this next week, you let us know. We have the ability to make that happen. So yeah,
Should
we
they
are
put
very.
their name, should they put their name in chat? How do you want them to
Well, yeah,
contact you? Did you already have
sure,
your
but
emails?
they have our contact, and we really encourage people to be in touch with us because maybe we can easily meet up. We will be at High Tech, we will be at the Biomade member meeting, we'll be at the Nimble Workforce Development Conference. We do travel,
Oh, you're going
so
to go to Puerto Rico?
it's in our interest to what we've learned is like the real magic of this is I mean, we love today, and thank you so much, Deanna, Cassandra, and Linnea. But not until somebody puts the headset on and experiences this do they realize the real power of it. So we do everything we can to actually share space and time with you, to experience this with you, because then I think you begin to see how it could work, for your program.
Other questions? Really, guys, I have to admit, I'm so passionate about this.
We love that, and we thank you so much for that, Linnea. Like, so much.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone for taking time out on your Friday and joining us. And thank you once again to Jared and Dan for your presentation on BioSuite Virtual. It's great to see your enthusiasm and how BioSuite Virtual is shaping the future of biomanufacturing education. And as a reminder to everyone, next Friday, January 30th at 12:30 Central Time, we will kick off Innovate Bio's Project Talk series and learn about two separate ATE projects presented by Dr. Aaron Kamajaya and Dr. Owana Martin. I will put the right now in the chat. There is the sign up for the project talks next week. And again, as Daniel and Jared mentioned, we will also have a recording or we will have their slide presentation on the Innovate Bio website as well. Thank you again. And if anybody missed any of their contact information, you can also contact Cassandra and I, or we will also, again, like I said, have that on the website, and it's in the chat as well.
And don't forget, I will help you write a grant.
And thank you all. We wish that you have a safe and warm weekend and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Stay
you.
warm.